Hey, what's up everybody? Radx here, the one from 72, the ultra neutral, and I am going to be doing a truth quest tomorrow. Yep, tomorrow I'm going to hit the road and I'm going to head out to the Serpent Mound. I've been kind of putting it off, and actually the last time I was out that way, I was going to stop at the Serpent Mound, but I just didn't. I was more like, I need to get back to work. So I am going to go ahead and make that travel tomorrow. I'm going to make it possible, and of course I'm going to document the whole trip going there. It's not that far from where I'm at, guys. It's literally like 3 hours. It's a little over 3 hours away, which is funny because it's the Serpent Mound, right? And what come to me in 2017 was a draconian. And just so you guys know, I am not a serpent worshiper. I am not into the whole worshiping thing or any of that stuff that has to do where there are people who are all about, snakes and worshiping serpents and stuff. But I'm just trying to find out more and more about myself and more about what has happened to me and why it's happened to me, and anything that can lead to me to any more clues. The main thing that I want you guys to understand about me going out to the Serpent Mound, I don't really believe that anything is going to happen when I get there. I want you to understand that I am literally just going out there just to say, hey, I did it. I came out here. I saw it. I went all the way. I walked the whole trail. I checked out the whole mound. I went to, where the head of the serpent is and everything, and nothing happened. But at least I will be able to show that to you guys and bring you guys that information. Also, that mound is the largest effigy in the world. It's been on Ancient Aliens. It's been on Discovery Channel, History Channel. There's people that travel all over the world. They come from all over the world to go see this thing. It's now been put in one of those categories right there with Stonehenge and other sites like that people are just like, why is this here? What was the actual purpose of this thing? And they used to think that it was a burial site, but now they realize it never was a burial site, and now they found out like some really wild stuff about this mound. Not just the fact that it lines up perfect with the summer solstice, which after now doing more research on it, I realize I'm gonna have to go back out there, right? So I'm gonna go tomorrow, but I'm also going to set a date for the beginning of the summer solstice, because that's where I hear is like the main event. And that I'm not really into crowds of people, and I don't like a lot of people being around me all the time. So I really kind of, unless I'm entertaining. If I'm entertaining, it's different, right? Like if I am doing a show, if I'm doing a ninja show, if I'm doing a martial arts show, if I'm on film, if I'm doing, where I'm out to win a crowd, then I thrive on that. But my personality is to try to be as discreet and try to be in the background as much as possible and away from people as much as possible. Like I'm not the loudest guy in the room, it's just not, I'm not an attention seeker. If I'm a performer, but I'm not one of those type of people that I just have to try to get as much attention as possible. I'm not some attention whore. So as I was saying about the summer solstice, I see it's exactly like one month from today, right? It's June 20th is when, we're not, it's a little over a month, okay? But it's June 20th, so I'm gonna have to go back out there next month just to go when, the summer solstice and when the event is supposed to take place. It's supposed to be like this whole thing. And I'm gonna show you guys some video stuff on that as well here at the end of this video, as well as I'm going to show you guys a couple other things too. Before I get on to the Serpent Mound stuff, I want to give a shout out to the Sudden Urge tattoo shop, because I got these two scorpions tattooed on both sides, on each of my arms, okay? They all three of my scorpions represent something very important to me, and maybe I'll share that with you guys later on, down the road. And I had them tattooed by some girl over at a tattoo shop called Black Dahlia, but she never filled it in because I said, hey, I want to get these done with UV ink. I want the scorpions, when you put a black light over them, that the scorpions come out in UV ink, and that's when you can actually see them, because that's exactly how scorpions are in real life. It's one of the only creatures on the planet that happens to. You put a UV light over it, and boom, their scorpion pops up, and like, wow, I didn't even know that thing was there. in the dark, boom, you can see a Scorpion UV light, which makes that creature also very peculiar. There's so much stuff about the Scorpion. Anyhow, and I learned that a lot more stuff about that too, as well as its connections to the Alcor star, which, you know, I was reading a thing about that last night. I know I'm going a little off topic here. Well, I guess it's kind of still on there. But I was reading a thing last night about, you know, the Alcor star and that whole constellation and stuff. And it says that it was there to protect scorpions. That something about protection against scorpions and snakes, right? Like, I mean, it's just like they had to put scorpions and snakes connected to the Alcor star, right? And you know, if you've been following me, you've been paying attention, you know that the Alcor, the whole thing with Alcor has played out for me all the way from the beginning of the year 2020, when I first made my first video and I said, hey, you know, this whole thing with Alcor being founded in 1972, this company that's freezing and preserving human beings, I was just like, this is, you know, it's part of this time hack, it's part of this anomaly. And throughout the entire year, things started, you know, really adding up and stuff. And then after that, and in the beginning of this year, I said, I'm going to either go to DARPA or I'm going to go to Alcor. And I left it up to you guys, which way should I go? And people said, hey, go to Alcor. And so that's what I did. And so then I drove out to Alcor, and then I found out, you know, lady let me in. You guys already know the stories about that. And if you don't, go watch my video on the Alcor Visitor. That's what I call it. I put a little X through the one thing, so, you know, because I always try to do things kind of creative. But it's called the Alcor Visitor video, and you need to go watch that video because I actually get to go inside when I wasn't supposed to be able to. And I went there completely on, like, no, I didn't set up any interview. I didn't set up anything with the people there. I didn't even know if anybody was going to be there because it was still during the shutdown. You know, like, it was in January, and there was still kind of like this whole, I don't know if you guys remember, back in January, they were still saying, you know, hey, you can't really cross state lines on that. I was just like, whatever, man, because this is more important, you know. So I went there, and when I got there, and I'm just going to give you a quick brief update, you know, history on that. When I went there in January, the lady just let me in. And then after talking to her for a few minutes, and she said they aren't giving tours right now and stuff, and then talking to her for a few minutes, and she explained to me what the Alcor logo was, you know, and then she said, oh, it's because of the Alcor star. And I said, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up. Of course, people need to be cryo frozen, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense that you would use that name, Alcor, for a, you know, to freeze people, right? So then she actually ended up saying, you know what, come on, I'll just take you for the full tour. And then I got to give you guys and show you guys that I went on a full tour, and I showed you guys all the stuff in there, and it was really cool. And you got to see where the people were being frozen who were actually time travelers. If you don't understand that, you know, they're cryo frozen, and they are suspended in time. There will be a time when they will come out of cryogenics, and, you know, in the future, and they will have skipped through time. Okay, so that means that they're time travelers. Look, so that's how the whole thing went down with the Alcor stuff, okay? I wanted to get my tattoos colored in because a girl wouldn't do the UV ink at that tattoo shop, right? Like, it was just a big shop, you know, people just too busy to bother with you, you know, it's just like, oh yeah, whatever, you know, and, okay, we'll get this tattoo done, okay, next, you know, it's just kind of like the run of the mill. So those two tattoos weren't really done by anything of significance by the person who actually did the tattoos. I don't even remember her name. It just was like one of those things like, okay, whatever. However, to get the tattoos colored in, I have been looking all over the place to set up a time to go in and get the tattoos done. And every time I go someplace, they would say, oh, you know, we come back in a month or come back in 3 weeks or 2 weeks. I just don't want to wait all that time. But however, I put it off for months and months and months. Actually, it's been almost a year that I've had those on my arms, and I never got the tattoos done. So I went by this one tattoo shop, and they just told me, oh, you know, oh, that's all you want to get done. You just want to get those colored in red. And I was just, yeah, I just want to get them colored in red. Okay, well, we can book you for, you know, June. Now, this was like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. I'm like, I'm not going to wait 2 months to come in and get a freaking tattoo. I can go buy a tattoo gun online, which would be cheaper, and just shade it in my damn self, or find somebody and just say, hey, man, I'll give you $20 to do this. But things have to happen for me and on certain things, not everything, but certain things are happening as a guide, you know. And I hate to say destiny, and I definitely don't want to say happen for a reason, because I have a problem when people say things happen for a reason. I went off on somebody online earlier when they were saying, you know, oh, things happen for a reason. I said, okay, so, you know, a child that has been, you know, what do you think, a child that's been, you know, brutally beaten and raped until they're dead, you would tell that child right before they die, hey, things happen for a reason. Come on, man. I don't like that, because it says that the worst things that can happen to people, and only people that say that usually are people who nothing bad's really happening to them at the moment, right? Like they just didn't like get into a car accident and a person was sitting next to them in a car and just died like immediately right then and there, and they just say, well, you know, things happen for a reason. It's always when you're the people who are furthest away from the worst, you know, things that can happen to them or whatever, for them to say things happen for a reason. Okay, so your old man whoops your ass and beats you up pretty good, right? Like a woman who gets brutally beaten up by her husband, you know, does she go and say, well, you know, things happen for a reason? No, she doesn't say that. She said, he's a jerk, he's an asshole, he beat me up, you know. So I don't like that. So what I'm saying is, reason why I'm connecting this is because there are things that are definitely guiding me for certain things that have to do with the whole thing with this Alcor, the whole thing with the 1972, the 172, all of this stuff. Like, there's like this guidance that's happening to me, and I don't force it, right? Like, I don't force it, and I don't want to force it, because it won't work like that. It won't be pure. So it has to be on its own, right? It has to be its own thing. So I went to this one tattoo shop, and they couldn't do it, you know, for a while. And then I went to, and then so I was thinking, oh, you know, I was just like, I'll just go look for some other place. But I was actually on my way to just go get something to eat, and I was just like, I just kind of forgot all about it. I was just like, whatever, you know, I'll check again in a week or 2 weeks or something or whatever when I get the urge again to go get this tattoo colored in. It was not like, it wasn't a thing that I had to have done right away. It wasn't an immediate thing. Like I said, the outline for the scorpions have been on my arms for almost a year. So that's what I mean by it hasn't been a like, oh, I got to get done right now. So I'm driving by this one place, and I see this tattoo shop called Sudden Urge, right? And I'm like, I'm just gonna stop and just check it out and see if they can do it. I go in there, and the guy is just, there's people sitting there. I was like, yeah, I want to get these colored. And the guy says, okay, we can do it right now. And I said, right now? And he's like, yeah, right now. I was like, all right, let's do it. You know, so now, so here's what I need you to understand. There's been many different tattoo places that I've been to that kept telling me no, they couldn't do it, or they didn't want to do it, or they just didn't have time, or whatever, you know, because a lot of tattoo places just seem to be run by snobs now. Like, there's these snobby people who believe that they're like the best wonderful artists in the world, and that they just don't have time to just color in a tattoo for somebody, right? Like, that's almost beneath them. Oh, you want me to just color that in? Oh God, you know, no, I need to do something. I need to do some miraculous art. And I don't know if you've been in a tattoo shop lately, but a lot of times if you go in there, for me, and you say, here's what I want, you present a picture to them, they will try to say they're going to do something different, right? Like, even the scorpions on my arm, I told the girl, I said, this is what I want, and she goes, oh, let me draw up something else. And I can understand, they might say, well, it's copyright. Dude, come on, dude. I see people with Elvis Presley tattooed on them. You know, I mean, it's just, it's insane, the snobness in the tattoo world right now. It's disgusting. But this place was not like that. This place was not like, they're just like, sure, whatever, that's what you want, let's do it, you know. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm not thinking that this guy has any significant meaning to do this tattoo for me, to do this red coloring on these scorpions. I really wasn't. I just was like, this is cool because I got somebody who can do it now. So then I sit down, he's like, okay, what kind of red do you want? And I was thinking, wow, I didn't really ever think about that. What kind of red do I want? So then I say to him, do you have a Mars red? And he's like, Mars red? And I said, yeah, you know, something that's like the color of Mars, because Mars is a red planet. And if you know anything about the sign Scorpio, the planet for Scorpio is Mars. The color for Scorpio is red, okay? So that's the reason I was like, yeah, I would like to get, you know, Mars red. He's like, I don't have any Mars red. He goes, but I do got this one ink that is now extinct. And he said, and they don't make it anymore. This is the last of it. And he's like, but you might not want that. It's a dragon red. And I was like, Whoa, wait a minute. Did you say Dragon Red? And he said, yeah. I said, use that ink. And he goes, well, I have these other inks if you do. I said, no. I said, and that's the last of that ink? And he said, yes, it's the last of the ink. And I got video of that, him saying that. I'm gonna let you guys hear that. There's some music in the background, so it's a little hard to hear, but you can hear him say it. And I was like, okay, this is the last of this ink. They don't make it anymore. It's called Dragon Red. Yeah, I'm like, this is weird. I'm like, and I just was kind of laughing at it. Dude's like, what? And I was like, you were meant to do this tattoo for me. And he's not gonna get it. He'll never get it, because I have another video coming up too that I'm gonna put out tomorrow, and it's an hour video of talking about comprehension and trying to comprehend the time hack. So that's gonna come out, and it's a whole thing where I'm walking through the woods, and I actually really legitly get lost in the woods, and I have a compass with me, and I'm trying to show you guys about the comprehension. So I'll post that up. I tried to post it up yesterday, but the internet went out and it didn't load up. So anyhow, back to the story with the tattoo. So the guy did the tattoo, and I was just like, oh, this is great, you know. So I got in there. I was like, this guy was meant to do this tattoo. Okay, so remember, I don't have a preference on a tattoo shop. But I was thinking, because I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and order, because I asked him before I left. I said, you know, hey, you know, I was talking about the UV ink, and he said, oh, yeah, bring it in. And I was like, you guys will do that? He said, sure. And it was just, so this is like, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, so here's a shop that'll actually do the UV ink. So I ordered the UV ink myself. I did a lot of research on which UV ink to get. And the type of ink that I got is, I will post that up there. I'll show you guys a picture of that. That's actually natural, because there are UV inks that are not natural, and people are not too sure if it can cause any type of problems down the road. So I wanted something natural, and I'll post that up for you guys if you want to see it. And if you have not seen the UV ink tattoos, go look at them online. I think you're going to be a little shocked. Now, there are people who kind of poo-poo the UV ink on the tattoos, because they're just like, you know, especially you'll see some snobby tattoo artists online on, you know, on YouTube who are shooting it down, saying, oh, I don't even know why people would get that, because you can't see it unless it's under a black light and unless you're going to a rave. Dude, that's not, as a tattoo artist, as a customer walking in the door, and for me to get a tattoo, I don't care about your opinion on what I want for my tattoo. I want to get it done the way I want to get it done. Whether if it's going to a rave, or I just want it invisible and I don't want anybody to ever see it unless I pull out a black light, that's my business. So just do the freaking art, dude. I mean, it's just like, just do it, you know? So in this place, it's just real easy, and they're just easy to get along with, and they're willing to do whatever. So I get up to the shop today, and that guy's there, right? And I'm like, oh, good, you know, and he didn't have anybody there to take care of, and I'm like, oh, good, so he can do this tattoo that I want. And when you guys see this tattoo, you're gonna go, oh, okay, this is why he got it, right? It's a very special, very important reason why I got this tattoo. And it's literally only, if you know about the Alcor star, right? You know that it's inside of the Big Dipper, right? Like, it's part of the Big Dipper, the miser and the minor and major Ursa miser. You know that it's inside, it's part of the Big Dipper. Now, if you count the dots in the Big Dipper, then you only see 7. But if your eyesight is good enough, because they use this for a test, you know, back in ancient times to see if you had good eyesight, they used this Pacific. You can look up the history on it. They used this Pacific star constellation to see if you had good eyesight. Now, what does that mean? 2020. Good eyesight, right? And what was most of my videos? When did I start bringing out the videos? 2020, and that's when the Alcor thing ends. It's the whole thing's bizarre. So when you look at the Big Dipper, you only see 7 stars, but it has 8. The 8th star is hidden, and if you look really careful, you can see it. So you'll see that there are 8 stars in that constellation and not 7. And the number 8 also has a big significant meaning to the Scorpio on the constellation. Why? Because it's the 8th. It's the 8th sign on the zodiac. The Scorpion is. So all of this stuff, and the whole fact that they say about, you know, the Alcor is attached to the Scorpion and the Serpent. You know, the Scorpio and the Snake. it's just the whole thing, and I'm gonna be doing a video, and look, my videos, and when I talk about me, and I talk about the things that's going on with me and stuff, it's because I'm trying to understand, I'm trying to share it with you guys. And the reason why I'm trying to share it with you guys is because I'm trying to help you guys understand the time hack. I'm trying to help you guys understand what is coming, what I see, what I foresee coming. You guys already know, if you've been paying attention to my videos, you've been watching my videos for a while, you already know that I've been able to predict certain things, right? And it's not because of I just have foresight. I just literally looked at the numbers, looked at the past 1972 and added it up. By the way, the whole thing with the gas crisis and stuff in 1973, literally 2 days before the oil lines were hacked. And I don't think that we're going to have a major gas crisis like 1973, but it's very much possible right now with the war that's going on over in, with Palestine and Israel, right? So because that's going on, that can trigger a world war. And with what's going on here in America, we're very close to going into a civil war. I know you don't really think it's going to happen, but trust me, there are things going on in the background that I have been paying attention to. That if you watch the House and you pay attention to the Senate, and you really listen to what's being said and stuff, they're literally, they know that the country is gearing up, that there are groups out there that are gearing up for civil war. They're not going to, I told you this in the beginning of the year after the insurrection. There's going to be the quiet before the storm, because those guys are not stupid. A lot of them are ex-military police officers. Some of them are still active military, still active police officers, and they're not going to attack when everybody's got their guard up. They're going to do it when the guard is down, and this has to happen in this country. It has to happen. A civil war has to happen, because the country has been going in a bad direction for a very long time. And there are people out there who, like the Oath Keepers and the Boogaloo Boys and some other ones and stuff like that, who truly believe that they need to get this country back on track to being for the American, for a certain group of people. And they're going to go through with this. It's going to happen. Okay? And there are people who are in the government who want it to happen too. We're talking military. We're talking, there are some private senators, some governors, some mayors, just people who are there who are actually part of that, and you just would never know it. So they'll make moves, not a long knives. They'll make moves to happen when this stuff goes down, and then the Civil War will go down. So I don't know how I got off this track, but anyhow, let's get back to the tattoo, because I don't want to go too much further into that stuff. Because I need to wrap this video up, because I know it's getting long. So I went back in there today, and I went to get the tattoo, and the guy was there to do the tattoo for me. And I was like, hey, I got the ink, and he's like, oh, okay, cool. And he's like, what do you want to get on there? And I said, this is, I want to get, the Alcor, I want to get the star. I said, it's just 8 dots. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, I could tell he really didn't want to do it, but he's like, he's not the type just to turn you away, right? Like, if this is what you want, he's going to do it for you. And which is really cool, and really what tattoo shops used to be like anyhow. They used to be a bunch of snobs. So he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And then as he's standing there, and there's this girl that's standing there, and she's like asking me questions about, why I'm getting this constellation. So I'm just like, hey, I'm just going to spit it out there. That's why I say you can't, I hear people talk about, they want to be special, and they want to be like a star child. They want to have all these magical powers, or they think it's magical powers. They want to have all these gifts, No, you don't. Because then the moment that you're able to display that you have any special gifts, that's like all these fakes out there. The moment that you're able to display you have any special gifts, the government, the Eye of Sauron, will fixate on you hard. And they'll put people in your way, in your life, to do certain things, because now you are a point of interest that the government needs to pay attention to. They need to know what you can do, and are you going to do anything that is going to be against the government or for the government, or however they can use you, right? Like, that's what they do. So the moment you actually have any real abilities, you now become a point of interest for them. So when people say that, they don't know what they're talking about. They're not going through what I'm going through, right? Like, and when you're able to do these things, you start talking to people about it, because you want to help humanity. You want to help people as much as possible. You want to expose the stuff like, hey man, look at this time hack. There's no way possible all these things could happen. And you want to expose these things, and then they ask you, well, how the hell you know this stuff? And most of the time they don't ask questions, but when they do, you want to tell them how you know, and you say, hey, well, I had an alien come to me in the middle of my school in 2017. And by the way, there was all these other things that happened in 2017 too that just said, hey, there was, the Oumuamua and all that, but you guys already know that stuff. So this girl's sitting there, and I'm just spewing it out. I'm just like, well, there's an alien and the 20, and I'm thinking, and she's just like, okay, yeah, it's kind of cool. She's like, I really get into constellations and stuff, and she's like, telling me, I was like, oh, that's cool. But she's never done a tattoo yet, right? Like she's only done practice tattoo stuff. But she thought it was kind of cool. And then two girls walk in behind me while I'm talking to the guy, and he's trying to figure out how to do this thing. And he's like, yeah, UV ink is kind of cool. And they're there for their appointment. And he only had 10, 15 minutes to do the tattoo on my hand. Oh, damn, I just told you guys what. He only had 10, 15 minutes to do tattoo on me. And so he said, yeah, it wouldn't take that long. But then I was just thinking, he's going to have to rush to do this. And I'm kind of stepping. He told those girls that they have to wait a little bit longer. And I was thinking that wasn't really fair to them. By the way, when I walked in there, he was wearing, guess what? A t-shirt that is Pink Floyd 1972. Right? So, I mean, guys, look, it's just he could have wore any shirt today, any other shirt in his wardrobe. But just so happened the day that I decide I'm going to come in there. And it's not one thing or two things. It's quite a few things, right? It's not just like I said, it's not just one thing. It's quite a few things, all day long. And I was actually talking to 1010 earlier on the phone, and 1972 and 172 just kept coming up all day today when I was talking to her on the phone for I wouldn't say all day, but in just an hour or two that we were talking on the phone. I went to go get some copies done for this thing, for this picture, for the constellation. And I couldn't figure out how to use the copier machine. The guy at the thing told me it was cheaper to use the machine. And I couldn't figure out the machine because it kept asking all these questions. I was like, you know what? And he's like, it's only 14 cents there. He's like, if I have to do it, then it's gonna cost more. And I was just like, you know what? Just screw it. I said, hey, dude, can you just do it for me? He's just like, okay, all right. So he prints the paper out for the constellation. It's 72 cents. I swear to you guys, I am not fixated on that number, because I'm just some insane person that just it just keeps happening, right? And then of course, 72. So then I go to the store to go get my food, which, it's a place where they weigh the food, and they weigh it, and it's 7.2 ounces, 72. And there was something else that came with 72. I was like, oh my gosh. And then 1010 was just laughing. And people are just looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I look crazy. I get it. Whatever, And that's what I see people say, they want these special abilities, and they want to have all this stuff. No, you don't. Because when you try to if you're single or if you're married and something like this happens to you, and your spouse is not strong enough, they're going to haul ass. They're going to get the hell away from you as quickly as possible. And then anybody you meet after that, it's hard for you not to tell and share what's going on, because this has really engulfed my life. It really has eaten up all my time on everything. It takes up most of my time all the time. I'm constantly doing research, and I always make sure I have all my facts in order, and that there's not some BS out there, some misleading stuff. I have to make sure. That's the whole thing. That's the reason why that I took the whole thing with Andrew Basiago, I can't say his name correctly, whatever. That's the reason why I took off Project Pegasus, because it does not have no significant backing to it for 1972 at all. There is nothing on that. We can research Project Blue Book. We can research, we can see the documentations for MK Ultra. We can see, these documentations that are government documentations. There's no documentation on this. We can see the documentation for DARPA in 1972. Everything that I present to you has documentation and evidence that you can go and research yourself. And I just don't go off of people's words just because they say it happened, right? It has to have documentation. People say all kinds of crazy ass claims, right? They're having sex with aliens all the time, or whatever. Or they can live off of sunlight, or they can fly. Well, I need to actually see the evidence. Just you telling me doesn't mean shit, okay? So, and I don't, that's not how I present my channel. It's not how I present that's not how I present this stuff to you guys, because none of that matters. The only thing that matters is actual evidence, to actually see proof, right? To know that these things are happening, to be able to back it up. Because I have no reason to lie, and it's just, I'm not going to destroy my credibility. First of all, I'm not getting anything out of it. This is all for you guys. But anyhow, let's get back to the tattoo, because I need to get done with this video. So then the girl was kind of interested in what I was doing, and the guy had somebody else waiting to do the tattoo. So I was like, you know what? Let her do the tattoo. And she's like, oh no, wait, I've never done a tattoo yet before. I'm still just an apprentice. And all the tattoo guys in the shop said, she's just an apprentice. She's just an apprentice. And I said, she's supposed to do this tattoo. And that's what I said to them. I said, she's supposed to do this tattoo. I said, I know you guys don't understand it, but I'm telling you right now, she's supposed to do this tattoo for me. It's the first thing she's ever done, and she's going to do these 8 dots on my hand. And so they had a little powwow, and they said, okay, you know, as long as you sign a waiver, a special waiver saying that, you know, you're okay with what I said, she's supposed to do it. So then she does the tattoo. And as she's doing the tattoo for me, I'm talking about, you know, birth and birthdays and how it's all weird, mine lines up. And her birthday is 7/7/71, which makes her a Cancer. So she's on the 7th month, the 7th day, because she's like, oh, my birthday has 3 7s in it. And I was like, 3 7? She's like, yeah, I was born, you know, 7th month, 7th day, and the 71st year, 7/7/1, right? So then you have, for those of you who don't know, that's actually the last 4 digits of my phone number. So now you know that. You can ask 1010, she'll back that up. The last 4 digits in my phone number is 7771. That's the last 4 digits. So, and she did a wonderful job to do the little 8 dots, and she did a really good job. And it was a thing that was just meant to be, right? So I'm going to show you guys, there's a picture there. You can see the picture of the girl who did the tattoo. You can see the guy who's wearing the shirt. The guy with the shirt on, that's the Pink Floyd shirt. That's the guy who did the red dragon ink. It stinks dragon ink on my arm. And that girl standing next to him was the one who did the Alcor star on the constellation there on my hand. And I got a lot more stuff for research on that that's just going to completely blow you guys' mind away. And the whole thing with my birth and all that, it's just going to literally blow you away, because I'm to the point right now where I question my whole birth, right? Like, it's just everything for my numbers and everything that's happened to me has literally guided me to the point of the Draconian coming to me in 2017 for that specific day at that specific time. It was supposed to happen, and that's one of the things I don't like. It was like destiny. You know, I don't want to say things happen for a reason, but this was a destiny thing, right? And it's very bizarre because, like I said, you look at what's happened to me, right? From all of this, I've got all of this knowledge. I've gotten gifts and things that I'm able to do. Like Wolverine says, you can give a gift back. You know, can't give those back. I've gotten all these things that's happened to me, and none of them has made me popular. None of this has made me more welcoming to other humans. In fact, it's done the opposite. It's driven them away. So it hasn't done me any self-serving, but I constantly am working as hard as I can to help you understand the time hack, to help you understand all these things that are happening. So that way I can help you guys who are there listening, who are paying attention, who are trying to understand, who are trying to get the comprehension so that they can understand what's going on with a clear time hack, what's going on, what's happened in 1972 and 2020. So, so the whole thing with the tattoo, and so tomorrow I'm going to go, and I'm going to go to the Serpent Mound. I don't expect anything to happen there, but I'm going to film it, and I'm going to show you guys it and stuff like that. And then after that, I'm going to go to my mother's, and I'm going to spend some time with her, and I'm going to do an interview with her, and I'm going to let her talk about some of the weird things that's happened in my life. And I'm not the type of person to say, hey, I had aliens come to me when I was 7 years old, and they just kept coming in and out of my life and taking me up in the ship, and we just kind of hang out, and they're taking me in space, and ever since I was a little kid. You're not hearing any of that crap from me. I'm telling you, 2017, when Oumuamua came here, in 2017, when they acknowledged that the Tic Tac was a real thing, and in 2017, when the Navy, the United States of America, finally came out and said, yes, there are UFO anomalies. These are not of this world origin. They're machines that are being used with technology we don't understand. The same year that Lou Alessandro, and you guys already saw that interview and that thing where I told you where he was talking about what happened to me. The same year that he leaves the government, supposedly, and goes to join the stars with the guy from Alien Ant Farm, which, or Blink 182, which, by the way, in 2001, before the towers were hit, I was still a skateboarder. I was still working on a pro amateur contract, and I was partially still sponsored by the companies that I was skating for down in Florida, but I was working on my own thing, and I was skating in the Warped Tour. And when I was doing my set, I don't know if it was Sum 41 or Blink 182, but one of those bands was there at the Warped Tour when I was doing my set. And by the way, I should have won that Warped Tour, and that's another thing too. Close but no cigar. I don't know if you guys watched that video I put out before. Things happened to block me from getting to advancing further in any type of like major professional career as a entertainer for a reason. Like God, things happen for a reason. There's things that happened to block it, so I could not get to not be in that school in 2017. Like, things literally blocked me from advancing further when people all around me, because I was very, very popular. Like, very popular. And, I mean, in school I wasn't as a kid because, you know, you guys already know the story about that. But as I got older and got into skateboard and stuff, I became I became very popular in Daytona Beach, where I grew up, as, you know, this skateboarding, you know, phenomenon. And skated with Tony Hawk, Andy McDonald, you know, Mike Vallely, and other guys like that. Skated with those guys. In fact, I met Jason Lee and skated with him in a pool that was emptied at Kings Island in Daytona Beach before he left and went to become a famous actor who did the movie with Tom Cruise and you know, Vanilla Sky, which we talked about that, you know, from last year. And so, and then when I got done with that and I came up to Ohio, and then I got into martial arts and I got into acting, I went down there and people said, hey man, you're going to be big time, right? People were behind me. I got a really good agent. You had all these things going for me. And it's just like there's things that always been there just to stop me from getting to the point where I would not be in that school in 2017. And so the girl who put the tattoo on my hand today, she was supposed to. I was supposed to be there at this specific time. She was supposed to be there. That guy was supposed to wear that shirt from Pink Floyd. All that stuff was supposed to. It's all set up in a nice little package, and I'm not pushing it, right? Like, it's just happening. Like, I'm not pushing it, making it happen. It just is happening. By the way, I used to have a company called Make It Happen Productions. That was my company. It's legit. So yeah, tomorrow I am going to do all that, and then I'll get the video up in about Monday, Tuesday, and then share all that stuff and all the information with you guys. And with that, I think that's about it that I want to share. I'm going to put some more footage about the Serpent Mound here. You'll be able to watch that. And I guess that's it. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of the time you have left. When I originally asked him about the tattoo ink of putting on my arm, I said, can you get me something that's more like a Mars red? And he immediately said, I don't know about Mars red, but I have a
Dragon red.
And then what did you say was special about that Dragon red?
It's extinct. After this is done, there's no more left on the planet. Because it's the guy retired from it. Permapro, yeah.
And you had to get to get that ink, you had to have special order forms and everything for that kind of ink.
Well, yeah, it was like a fax. You had to fax them the order. It wasn't like, you know what I mean? You just call them up and or do it online. It was a fax. Yeah, it was old school, man.
So yeah, that's a special Dragon ink.
Red, man. Yeah.
Pleasant Hill, Ohio, 1848. the Smithsonian Institute surveys a 1,350-foot-long, 3-foot-high effigy mound built in the shape of a coiling serpent. Like the lines and geoglyphs of Nazca, this reptilian motif, known as the Serpent Mound, can only be seen from high above the earth.
In the Native American legend, we call him the Plume Serpent, which is probably the same as the Quetzalcoatl down in the tribes in Mexico. The Plume Serpent theory is probably related to something that came from the sky. It came from the extraterrestrial territory. Serpent Mound and other places of what the Indians used to call places of worship are very important to study these things. There are certain things that are connected for the well-being of the planet, whether it be the magnetic system, whether it be the ley lines, whether it be observance points from other worlds that existed here before.
According to historians and anthropologists, an indigenous Native American culture called the Fort Ancient People built the mounds nearly 1,000 years ago. But if so, why?
The serpent also reflects from directly above a pattern of stars. So that's why we say the serpent is the most astonishing effigy anywhere in the world of its kind.
Some experts believe that along with more than 15 solar and lunar alignments, the Ohio Serpent Mound also reflects the star constellation Draco. In Latin, Draco means dragon.
So what exactly is Serpent Mound, and how did the Fort Ancient People use it?
Serpent Mound is a giant effigy mound. It's a calendar to mark the 4 seasons. The summer solstice sunset lines up with the head of the serpent. The serpent is composed of 3 parts. There's the tail, which is coiling. It's on the southwestern corner. Then it's composed of 3 eastward-facing bends, which align with the equinox and solstice sunrises. The Serpent Mound was not used as a burial mound. There are no cultural remains or human remains associated with Serpent Mound at all.
So Santha and I went there at the summer solstice in 2017. We were there on June 21st, 2017. And my wife Santha is a photographer, and we acquired a drone for this specific purpose. And she flew the drone up 400 feet above Serpent Mound, and we sat it up there watching the sunset. And what happens on the summer solstice, and you can only see it perfectly with a drone, there's pictures of it in the book here. What happens on the summer solstice, you can see it from ground level, but you get up 400 feet, you really get it. The head of that serpent is pointing directly at a niche in the distant hills through which the sun sets on the summer solstice, on the longest day of the year. So it's a sky-ground alignment, a perfection that is taking place there. It's a beautiful thing to see, to watch that sun majestically sinking down into the horizon and see this awesome figure of the serpent gazing directly at it with its jaws open, almost as though it's about to swallow the sun. One of the interesting things about Serpent Mound, and I urge anybody listening to this, go visit Serpent Mound, and especially go there on the summer solstice, because that's the moment, that's the marriage of heaven and earth.
Hey, what's up, guys? Okay, I almost wasn't going to film this, but I just stopped in this place just on a, because I needed to wash my laundry because I was kind of out in a town that I normally don't go to. This laundromat. As you see, there is nobody in here, and it's been like this for like over 2 hours since I washed my laundry. And most of the machines are like, they're taped up, they're, not working and stuff. You got to find a machine that works, and then like, check this out. I just had to show you guys this. There's somebody's laundry in this machine, and I've been here for a few hours and nobody's came here. There's no sounds in here. You go in a laundromat, usually you hear noises, right? It's dead ass quiet. So, and then I came back here trying to look for a machine, and then I used this machine, right? So I put my laundry in there. I was like, oh, okay, this one must be working. And then look, you see like all these like crazy signs, this old paneling. And I just need to show you this place because it's interesting. This is real interesting. So I put my money in this machine, I put the clothes in there, I put the money in, and it says it's $5 to use, and every quarter I put in registered as $1. So it was like 5 quarters, right? And I was like, well, that's just weird. But then I realized I didn't put all my laundry in and I started it, so I needed to use another machine. So I was like, okay, so this one's the same thing. I put my money in there and it registered regular, you know, I had to put $5 in quarters. So it's just really bizarre, right? So like, it wasn't the end of the bizarreness in this place, right? Like I said, you see this old ass paneling. Look at this old. It's just in some of these machines, like these washing machines back here. When's the last time you seen those in a laundromat? I don't know where you're at, but you know, most of the laundromats I go to, I've been to, they don't have these old school machines, like these old ass machines. And you just look at the place is like, it's a total throwback, right? And it was in the end of the bizarrities, okay? So I always check the washer and the dryer before I use it. Like I do this and I make sure there's nothing in there. I always do that to make sure it's completely empty before I put my stuff in. So I put my clothes in there and I dry my clothes. It didn't dry all the way, but whatever. And as I'm pulling them out, there's this shirt that, like, I don't know how I missed it. I'm not saying it magically appeared there, but I just don't see how I missed this shirt, which I know is not mine. I never even wear anything that's Everlast, right? I don't even wear that brand. And this shirt just like, so I'm like, this place is dirty as hell too. Like, and there's nobody here. That's another thing too, right? Like, the whole time I've been here, there's been nobody here, but this place looks like it's been recently used like a lot, right? It's just, the whole thing is bizarre. It's like it's just got pulled straight out of the 70s, maybe in 1972. I don't know how these things happen. I think this old ass Pac-Man machine, you know, it should be Pong, right? They should have a Pong machine in here just to really set it off. And like that's out of order. I wasn't sure if that worked because this is out of order, right? Look at this old change machine here. How old is that? Look at that. It's freaking great. I haven't seen a laundromat and see the old school mesh. Like, they don't really use that anymore. And then look at the camera. How old is that camera? You guys know, like, it's just weird things always happen to me, and I'm not saying that this magically manifests because I was coming here and like the creepy lights off. This whole place is insane, and there's nobody. Now here, let me show you the best part. Let me show you the best part of this, and it's gonna get a little noisy here. When we come outside, I'm in a booming part of town. This town is. We're not in a spot where there's like just like nobody. This is like a booming part of a city. Like nice, like everything else is really nice and updated around here. Like it's all updated, you know. But when you know, see, look right here. Everywhere else is busy, and then you come here to this old school. It's like it just was like teleported here. It's insane. And nobody, right? In the 5 minutes I've been doing this video, the 5 minutes, when's the last time you've been in a laundromat in the middle of the day? Like it's almost high noon. In the middle of a city. When's the last time that you've been to a laundromat that looks like there's not a, listen, you hear nothing. There's not a damn sound, nothing. And I've been on here for talking to you right now for 6 minutes. When is the last time you've been in a laundromat for that long and not one person's been in there? Now somebody's gonna leave a comment and say, oh, you know, this and that, but I mean, it's not just that, it's the whole, it's everything involved, right? Like, it looks like it's so dirty and stuff. It looks like it's been used, and then again, it looks like it was used 30 years ago and then abandoned, and nobody, you know, all these machines that say out of order on them, who doesn't fix that many machines? You know, maybe like 4 or 5 machines working here. Like, it's just like it was abandoned 30 years ago. Machines break down, so they just put on like out of order signs. You know, I mean, some of these machines are new. Like, those are some newer machines, right? Like, there's some updates in here. But for the most part, you definitely feel like you step back 30, 40 years, right? Like, it's almost like you step back into the 70s. Because for sure, this type of paneling and these type of cameras and the type of mesh that they're using and stuff, it's all stuff straight out of the 70s. It's just another one of those things, just extremely bizarre. And how did that shirt get so with all the other weird stuff that's going on in here, when somebody's shirt like that pops up in my laundry, when there's a load of laundry just sitting here in a dryer, that's cold. That dryer is cold. It's just, it's another one of those things, guys. You know, I mean, it's just one of those weird ass. I wasn't gonna film it, but I was like, I have to share this with you guys. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this throwback from this 1970s laundromat. And with that, enjoy the rest of the time that you have left.